what I have here is an example of a fork for pole archery. This is where the birds, pieces of wood with feathers attached to them, are mounted for archers to shoot them off using blunted arrows. This particular one's got a rubber blunt, so not this particular one, but we shoot with with blunted arrows to knock them off. Now these are just lightly put on. This particular example is the fork that is used by the Manitoba Pole Archery Association for a cultural display at the Belgian Pavilion during the multicultural festival that takes place in Winnipeg every summer, called Folklorama. This particular fork is actually a horizontal fork, so it's actually laid out on stands, about 3.5, 4 feet off the ground. And of course it slopes upwards, so this bird's a little bit all by its length above the top. In horizontal pole archery, they call this the queen. In vertical pole archery, the biggest bird would be called the king. In vertical pole archery, the king sits 110 feet above the ground. So I'll take a fork. This particular fork is missing a row of birds. This one has 33 birds, which is what these are. That's what we call them. Right here is another row of 4 birds, so 37 birds would be normal. And they're called kulas, or I like to call them the deuce, just because they're worth 2 points. That's what deuce is. Quickly going through the points. The king bird is worth 4 points. The side birds, which is what these two here are, they're worth 3 points each. The deuces, which I've mentioned already, they're worth 2 points. And then what we euphemistically call the flock are worth 1 point each. Quick side note, when I'm shooting, because I'm shooting instinctive and I'm shooting with thumb draw, and I'm shooting a little bit differently, I like to shoot the flock. So I try to crash into these bars to knock birds off. It's a little bit more difficult. The majority of the shooters are shooting compound. So it's still difficult. I mean, you have to understand. I mean, this is 100 feet in the air, right? So, and it's waving in the wind. So it's not easy. Not easy at all. But the majority of shooters do shoot within our clubs, do shoot compounds. I myself, of course, shoot instinctively, and I shoot mostly short bows. You could also call them horse bows, or however you tell them. But then I use my thumb, of course. At any rate, this is an example of a fork that we have. And I'll be doing, I hope I'll be doing more videos to show you more of this throughout the year. Because the club I belong to, Robin Hood Pole Archery, is 90 years old this year. And the Manitoba Pole Archery Association was also founded in 1929, so it's also 90 years old. This coming September will either be the 89th or the 90th competition where the clubs here in Manitoba gather to compete. Now, at the present, there are 5 clubs in Manitoba, and as far as we are aware in North America, we're pretty much it. In the case of vertical fork, we are probably it. There may be, I think in Brampton, Ontario, there is another horizontal fork club. I don't know of any others. In Europe, there's something like 40,000 registered pole archers, mostly in Belgium, some in the Netherlands, and in northern France. But the majority, of course, are Belgian, because it's the tradition of the sport seems to have carried on primarily in Belgium. It's also known as popinjay. In England, they have popinjay. They practice popinjay, but they shoot slightly differently. But yeah, this is a sport that has a very, very long tradition, a long history. And we're in North America. We're pretty much it now. There's not many people that are still practicing it, which is why I'm telling you about it, because I started pole archery 3 years ago. This will be my 4th year. This will be my 4th season, I guess, shooting pole archery, and I shoot it because it's fun. It makes me smile. And I'm hoping to make some more videos to show you. I'll be using this particular fork that I've borrowed. Thank you very much. It belongs to a sister club, the St. Sebastianette. They were kind enough to lend it to me to take to the 3D event to show it off. I spoke to about half a dozen different archers, and they all, of course, looked at me strange when I told them that I shoot straight out. It's common. The first worry everyone has, don't you get hit by the arrow? Of course, they all think that we're shooting with, points, right? A sharp point on the end. No, we shoot with blunts. Now, when I'm doing the demonstrations with this particular fork, because I'll be doing horizontal demonstrations, I'll actually be using probably these flu-flus, and I'll be using rubber blunts. I won't be pushing these on as hard as normal. My club mates, they really, really like to reef these things on, so they're really hard to get off. They're very competitive. They really like their sport. I won't be, just because I don't want to damage the fork. It's nice and pretty for the purpose of display. So I'll be using very low weight bows, and I'll be using rubber blunts, and probably the flu-flus. The other reason to use the flu-flus is that when I shoot them, they'll probably actually show up on camera. And that's important to me because I want you to be able to see it. So we'll see how it turns out. I'm going to leave it there. Look forward to seeing, stay tuned to this channel. Check your notifications, all that yada yada yada. Look below me for links and stuff. I'll be putting links to the different clubs that I belong to. Because I'll be showing more and talking more about this. Why? Because it's fun. No other reason other than that. And keep having fun. All of you guys, because that's why we do this. Have fun, guys. Bye-bye.